Thank you for joining us on the Primetime News Bulletin here on the Joy News channel. Coming up, company engaged in rehabilitation of Oblogo landfill says the disused dump site may well produce biogas for electricity. Teshie Traditional Council dissociate themselves from purported installation of a chief for the town. Cabinet is said to be considering proposals to restructure the National Disaster Management Organization. And the Supreme Court has summoned 3 more persons to appear before it to answer for recent remarks about proceedings in the ongoing election petition hearing. In business, African governments have been challenged to ensure their citizens experience real growth in their standard of living. We have sport, international news, and a very interesting story about being careful about what you wish for coming up in showbiz. My name is Gifty Andwapia. Please stay for the details. The company contracted to rehabilitate the now disused Oblogo landfill has begun the process of stopping leakage of leachates from the ground. Residents had in recent times complained about the leakage of the dangerous chemical beyond halting the flow. However, the company says it is in consultations with the Gas South Municipal Assembly on the possible generation of biogas from the facility.
The landfill served as one of the main dumping grounds for Accra's garbage until it could take no more. It is currently capped, first with clay and then laterite with further aftercare management to follow. CEO of Waste Care Associates, Lukman Salifu, explains capping the dump site is to prevent rain from seeping through the refuse, an action that intensifies the generation of leachates, a toxic liquid substance produced as a result of the breakdown of organic waste.
Capping will not stop leachate from what? Being generated. Because the waste, as it biodegrades, you would have leachate being generated. Your fatty lipids, fatty material, the mix of waste, to put it simply, would be generating, as it stabilizes or biodegradation goes on. You have hydrogen, you have CO2, you have water, and then you have methane being generated. Methane, in this case, we also sometimes refer to a landfill gas.
The company at the moment is collecting the leachate, which is then recirculated to feed microbes in order to reduce its strength.
When you go to Oblogo, you see we have 2 tanks. One, we've put a polytank on. Now, downstream, there will be a sump. So what we've done is to, around the periphery, and depending on the slope of the site, we've excavated and put in perforated pipes at the toe. So this collects the leachate into the sump. And we pump from the sump to the tank up there. Okay? And that is what we call the leachate attenuation tank.
According to him, biogas, which is generated by decaying organic waste, is being tapped while leachate recirculation is ongoing, though on a minimal scale. Doing this on a large scale, however, requires gas extraction equipment, which they have not yet acquired.
What we've put in now at the surface is perforated pipes, not too deep, max 1 meter. So we're not even in the zone where you can tap gas maximally. Okay, so one will need to put in a few gas wells strategically located to increase even the flow further.
Mr. Salifu says though landfills can be explored for biogas, they can equally serve useful purposes like recreational centers, but cannot hold permanent structures.
Now, the Teshie Traditional Council and all the clans associated with the installation of chiefs in the town have dissociated themselves from the recent installation in that town. According to them, the claim by Ni Ashite Kamwa III that he is the new chief is illegal and should be treated with the contempt it deserves. The group addressed the news conference at Teshie in Accra, they dubbed Setting the Records Straight.
The Teshie Traditional Council was emphatic in its rejection of the supposed chief.
Has anyone been actually outdoored as Teshie Manche? The answer is a very big no. Why? Because since 1710, all the 18 chiefs of Teshie have been installed on the black stool and not on any other stool. He had not been validly nominated by the accredited Teshie Jasiche. The purported kingmakers did not seat him on Senkwao, the ancient and authentic black stool of Teshie. The Krobo Jasiche, who is not a kingmaker, performed the installation ceremony instead of the Mankralo, thus rendering the purported installation null, void, and of no legal effect. If you look at there is a Gold Coast Gazette of 1954 that disqualified his father from ever taking up any chieftaincy position in Teshie.
According to the council, the act by Ni Ashite Kamwa III contradicts the resolution made during the meeting between the National Security, Regional Security, and all the royal families of Teshie in 2005.
A joint Teshie Chieftaincy Arbitration Committee was established. The issues for determination of the committee was to determine the number of ruling houses in Teshie, and then which house's turn has it come to install a chief. The findings of the committee was that there are 3 ruling houses of Teshie: Ashikwewe, Ashitewe, and Oponwe. They proposed a candidate, and that candidate was disqualified. The matter went to the Traditional Council. A ruling was given on it. They did not accept the reason. They attempted to forcibly install that person. The High Court slapped an injunction on them.
The Traditional Council said the supposed chief does not even qualify by virtue of lineage.
The fact is that the father hailed not from Numo Trebik family, but he hailed from a family in Nungwa. These families are master drummers and then a play ensemble. So whenever they are going to perform the customary rite of Odame, they come and beat the play drum and sing play songs for the Odame rite to be performed. That is the only role that has been assigned to them.
The Traditional Council, however, concedes the Ashitewe, where the supposed chief claims to hail from, is the family eligible to occupy the throne. Ni Ashikwe Kwaboche is nonetheless urging the youth not to take the law into their own hands and promise the rightful heir will be installed by the end of this year. The dispute about the rightful heir to the Teshie throne degenerated into a clash on June 20, involving the youth of the town and some persons said to have been hired by a faction to provide security for the installation of a chief.
Now let's go to the presidency. President Mahama is said to have expressed concern about the health of former South African President Nelson Mandela ahead of his regular meeting with Cabinet today as they met to deliberate on some key national issues. Amongst them is a proposal for various amendments, including one to transform the National Disaster Management Organization into a service. Minister of Information and Media Relations, Mahama Yariga, announced this at today's daily media briefing at the Flagstaff House.
The President is monitoring very closely the situation regarding the health of the first black South African president, Madiba Nelson Mandela, and he joined South Africans in praying for him at this very critical stage.
According to the Information and Media Relations Minister, a restructure of NADMIL is to make it more responsive with the ability to prevent disasters. It will also make them financially capable to deal with disasters as and when it happens.
To have structures at the lower level that work very closely with assemblies to deal with the issues of prevention. There are moves to transform the organization into a service and to further strengthen our institutional arrangement for the management of disasters. The African Charter on the values and principles of the public service and administration will also be considered for approval by Cabinet for ratification by the Parliament of Ghana. There's also a proposal that Ghana should host the South-South Energy Initiative.
By now, Cabinet must have wrapped up discussions on deficit reduction, target achievement in terms of revenue mobilization, and amendments on the money laundering bill.
Among the bills for consideration for submission to Parliament include policy approval and approval for the bill amending the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2008, Act 749.
A decision must have also been reached in the area of agriculture, since they were expected to have had talks on a national seed policy as well as a national fertilizer policy. These are to facilitate a comprehensive system of seed multiplication and availability of the seeds to farmers. All right, let's stay a while longer at the presidency. President John Mahama has urged security chiefs in the ECOWAS sub-region to promote dialogue and reconciliation among political stakeholders in Mali, which is experiencing relative calm now after months of insurgency. He also called for regional cooperation to sustain the progress made towards stability in Guinea-Bissau. The president was addressing military heads from the sub-region who called on him at the Flagstaff House. The security chiefs have been in the country for the past 2 days for the third ordinary session of the CDS committee at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Chairman of the committee, Côte d'Ivoire's Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Soumaïla Bakayoko, announced the UN's takeover of the mission in Mali from African troops by 1st July. He said they have studied and discussed piracy in the Gulf of Guinea and the upcoming elections in Mali, and the appropriate recommendations would be made to stakeholders. President Mahama pointed out that although Mali is now stable, the situation still requires attention and vigilance.
Democracies are more vulnerable to insurgency, they are more vulnerable to international criminal gangs because of the respect for human rights and all that. They are more vulnerable to people who just have a criminal mind who want to take advantage of constitutional governance. And so we don't have any alternative but to work together to ensure that collectively our countries are secure. We have, on the whole, spent less in respect of security and defense, but we're waking up to a new reality that you cannot have a democracy, you cannot have human progress in a situation of insecurity.
He called for more collective collaboration to fight insurgencies in the region.
We should collectively think how we can optimize the use of our military resources to ensure that our security in the sub-region is protected. And I think that that's the basis for which this your meeting has taken place. Another new issue is the issue of piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. The Gulf of Guinea is a shared resource for all of us, and if we are not able to clamp down on this particular phenomenon, it could endanger shipping. It could make shipping into our sub-region more expensive area, and so this is an area that we need to work together on.
The countries represented were Benin, Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, the Gambia and Ghana. The others are Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Togo and Nigeria, as well as a representative from the ECOWAS Commission. Meanwhile, the brain behind the coup in Mali last year, Amadou Aya Sanogo, has apologized, describing the incident as an accident. Elections in Mali are due on 28 July 2013. Upper Dentra West constituency executives of the ruling NDC have locked up the office of the district chief executive, Akayanke, in protest against his renomination by the president. The executives who are appealing for the DCE to be removed from office say his reappointments will deepen the current divide in the party. Correspondent William Benjamin Peters covered the protest and has the rest of the story.
The demonstrators, clad in red armbands, consisted of NDC polling station executives drawn from the 59 polling stations in the constituency, as well as other executives and supporters of the party. Some residents of the constituency also joined the demonstrations, chanting war songs and calling for the removal of the DCE from office. Constituency Secretary Albert Asafua Ajin, speaking to Joy News, said their move was as a result of some misconducts exhibited by the incumbent DCE, who has been reappointed by the president for another term in office.
NDC as a party were built upon the tenets of probity, accountability and social justice, of which it looks as if this man is being allowed to become the next DCE again, it means we are driving away from the tenets upon which the party was built. Yes. In view of this, we wish and we respectfully wish our dear President, Honorable His Excellency Mahama, to resign his decision.
He also alleged that the DCE, along with some members of staff at the assembly, sold an estimated 300 cartons of Confido agrochemical insecticides meant for mass spraying in the district. According to the executives, the reappointment of Aka Yankee as DCE came as an unpleasant surprise to them, since they had already nominated another candidate, Odro Bonso. Joy News gathered that the DCE was urged by some top guns of the NDC to step down and contest for the parliamentary seat so he could allow Odro Bonso to fill in the position. Although he is said to have agreed to the proposal, he lost the parliamentary seat to the MPP. His reappointment is seen by the executives as a breach of the agreement previously reached.
It appears Accra is yet to hear the last of the rampant fires that have been recorded in recent times. There was yet another, this time a domestic one though, but which gutted a two-bedroom wooden structure behind the Boomerang nightclub at Capri's near Kokomlimli here in Accra. The cause of the fire is unknown.
The fire is reported to have started a few minutes to 4 p.m. in this wooden structure sited in the middle of this house. The residents who helped put out the fire blame fire officials for not getting to the scene in good time.
I was close to the house, and when I heard fire is burning. So I rushed to the place, but when I opened the door, the fire was overhand. When I opened the door, it was too much, and I just closed it. I wanted to go inside and bring out some things. But when I realized that the fire was too heavy, I said, no, let's close the door, because I cannot risk such a precious life. We even tried with, extinguisher. But the way the fire was coming, it's not a domestic extinguisher. So I told them, no, let's fire service. So until the cushy got burnt finish, and those things that, they are flammable, before we started throwing water, and then at least it was have people that at the end quench the fire. These were the house people. But the outsiders who came in. Oh, when they came, I think we've done most of the work. It was even complete. We completed it. Because when they came, virtually everything was burned down.
Beyond her beef with the fire service, though, the landlady resurrected what appears to be a domestic vote over the tenants' instructions to their children not to interact with their neighbors.
I think they were not to respond to the residents. So it's that
fire officers at the scene refused to speak to Joy News.
All right, now let's do You Report. Tonight on You Report, Esther sent us this video about one of Ghana's most popular dishes and about the way it is packaged. Now, Esther, like many others, enjoy wache most when served in a leaf, though it has become the norm for it to be dished out in polythene bags. According to her, most vendors like this one in her video do do this even though they are aware of the use of the rubber is not healthy. Esther wants the packaging of wache in polythene bags to stop because she says it is harmful to your health. All right, so that's it for what Esther brought us. Now, if you wish, thanks very much, Esther, for your video. But if you wish to send in a video to us, the WhatsApp number is 0544-334-726. That's 0544-334-726. Now, back to Esther's concerns. I've done a bit of fact-checking on your claim, Esther, that the use of polythene in packaging food is harmful to our health. Now, the Food and Drugs Authority doesn't quite agree with you. At least they say there's no scientific research done to establish that. Now, the chief executive in charge of food, John Odamidakwa, tells us the polythene films that have been impregnated with certain chemicals can be harmful when used at very high temperatures, but says the food grade ones, such as those used in packaging the wache, are fine. So you can go ahead and have your wache packaged in a polythene bag. But it then brings me to our social media topic. So you tell us how you prefer your wache and other local dishes such as beans packaged in a polythene or takeaway pack or in a leaf, ahabai or wache bar like Esther. You send us your comment. But in the meantime, we've been receiving some comments here, and let me quickly take you through some of the comments that we've received. Now, Anita Kukwa Emefatego says, well, now let me take this one from Efia Sandra. Efia Sandra says, I buy mine in a bowl. Francis Tufuo said the natural leaf is the best. Nanama Ofori says, wache bar, leaf. Homaji Arnold said the leaf is the best. And it appears that the leaf is winning the race now. Nita Kutz says, in the leaf adds some sort of aroma to the food, and I like the style where the food is held in the left palm and one side of the leaf is unfolded and one begins to dig into the meal. That's quite an interesting one from Nita Kutz there. So send us your comments and let us know what you think about eating in the ahabai or eating in a polythene bag or takeaway pack. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring you some more news. Please stay. You're welcome back. Now, 3 persons, including the editor of the Daily Searchlight newspaper, Ken Crunchy, and 2 members of the NDC communication team have been invited by the Supreme Court to answer questions relating to some publications and comments which may have breached the court's rules. This is the second time the court is seeking to assert its authority after sanctioning the NPP's Deputy Communications Director, Samir Wuku, yesterday. The 3 are to appear before the court on 2nd July.
The court, following several warnings to the media to ensure fair and accurate reportage on the ongoing election hearing yesterday, barred the NPP's Deputy Communications Director from attending any more of the proceedings until the case is over. Presiding Judge Justice Atugubat, who delivered the judgment, issued a stern warning that the court will deal severely with any person or groups of persons caught contravening its orders. It is therefore fair to deduct from his announcement today, shortly after he and his colleagues returned from their lunch recess, that the 3, Stephen Atubiga, a member of the NDC communications team, Ken Crunchy, editor of the Daily Searchlight newspaper, and Kweku Buahin, a member of the NDC, are likely to face contempt charges.
Okay, so joining us on the line now is Ken Crunchy, one of the persons who've been summoned to appear before the court, and we'll try to find out some few things from him. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
All right, thank you very much for your time here on the Prime Time News. But we'd like to find out quickly from you, what exactly did you say that must have warranted this summon from the court?
Well, I'm yet to know from the court exactly their concerns. And normally, some of these things, I understand that for some of these contempt procedures, you are served with copies of your alleged transgression so that you can adequately answer to the charges when you appear before their lordships. This was a verbal invitation, and I understand that some of these things you are supposed to be communicated to in writing by way of summons or something, but this has been a verbal communication. Whatever the case may be, we would make ourselves available to the court on Tuesday We will listen to their concerns, and then if you have any defense or any responses, we'll make those responses available to the court.
Right. So what you're saying tells me that you've not received any official communication as far as this summoning is concerned, correct?
The communication has been the verbal communication that the entire world heard, yes.
And how did you hear about this? Just like in the media?
Yes, just from television. I was in the office, but not near the television. So when I heard my name, I ran to the television and I caught the tail end of Mr. Atugube's call.
And for you, that is not official enough, and so it doesn't send any signals to you that should make you panic, if I could use the word.
Well, panic is not a very good thing to indulge in times like this. You need to keep a clear head. So they have invited us. At least I can admit that I heard the invitation on air. So I will make myself available in the Supreme Court on Tuesday. That one I promise to do so.
Now, let me ask you, do you appreciate the gravity of this situation? Now, if it happens that you're really going to be summoned and the court is going to have you come before them, do you appreciate the situation?
I would have appreciated the nature of whatever they have on me or whatever their concerns. I would have appreciated the situation better if I had written someone. Then I can make an informed, educated guess on their concerns. As it is now, Mr. Atuguba referred to my name and then referred to my front page comment. We wrote the front page comment. We stand by it. We will be in court to listen to specifically what aspects of the front page comment we have problems with, and then we'll proceed from there.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. So that was Ken Crunchy, editor of the Daily Searchlight, answering questions as to whether he knows about this summoning that he probably may be appearing before the courts. Now let's move on with the other stories, but we still remain with the court. International accounting and auditing firm KPMG today, they took the witness box to defend their audit of the pink sheet filed by the petitioners in the ongoing election petition hearing. A representative of the company, Ni Amano Dodu, told the court that the firm took no inventory of pink sheets in the custody of the court's registry before commencing its work. His admission comes in the wake of allegations that KPMG, before the start of the counting, took an inventory of the number of boxes and that the quantity of boxes in the custody of the registry had, without explanation, increased. Now let's move from the courts and go to Ashaiman. Leadership of 11 private transport operators in Ashaiman have dissociated themselves from last Monday's demonstration in the town. They say much as they equally unhappy about the deplorable state of the roads in the town, they did not sanction the protests.
It had been widely reported that the demonstration, which turned violent, was at the behest of the commercial drivers. But executives of the Ashaiman Municipal Private Transport Operators Coordinating Council say they were unaware and could not be held responsible for it.
We are not aware of what happened on the 24th of this. It is not GPRTU, it is not cooperative, it is not Protua, it is not Biakuye, it is not Rural Action. We did not do anything. We made our small investigation and we realized that it is not drivers who has done the thing. And let me tell you, the 11 people arrested, we only have one driver's mate among them. So where drivers were not arrested.
They condemned the action, insisting they would have opted for a peaceful march with police protection to present a petition to the municipal chief executive if they felt the need to demonstrate about the roads. They apologized to the police officer who was injured and vowed to appropriately punish any member of their group identified as a rioter.
You know, drivers are people who fear one kind of punishment, and I'll mention it here. That's stopping from loading. Even if you charge them money,
they will pay.
They will pay. But if you ask them not to be loaded, they call back whatever they are doing. So we are only looking forward. If through pictures we will see that this person is a driver belonging to us, and he's been involved directly in this, we assure you the person will go through.
They, however, pleaded with the authorities to speed up construction of the roads.
The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Al-Hassan, has assured the general public of the police duty in ensuring law and order in the country. His comment comes after recent protests by some aggrieved youth and drivers in the Ashaiman municipality.
The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Al-Hassan, addressed some members of the general public and the media in Ashaiman. The address follows recent clashes between the police and some aggrieved youth and drivers of Ashaiman who recently protested over the poor state of the roads there. The IGP assured the public of the police duty in promoting law and order in the country.
My only appeal to members of the general public is that we should not be taking the law. We are in the era of the rule of law, and it may be means of trying to put across confidence. We in the police service are mandated to ensure law and order. This is what we will continue to pursue. We will do it professionally, but very, very firmly.
He, however, warns the general public that the police will deal professionally and firmly with persons who tamper with the peace of the country.
Right, abortion remains one of the leading causes of death and damage to the reproductive system of women across the globe. But what happens in a situation where a woman faces the issue of an unwanted pregnancy in marriage, especially in a culture where moral values precede personal judgment? Well, Senior Reproductive Health Specialist Dr. Ernest Meyer at the Rich Clinic says women who accidentally become pregnant despite family planning should be allowed to freely make that choice within the framework of Ghana's abortion laws. He was speaking at the 5th Annual CSO Health Forum in Accra.
Attaining Millennium Development Goal 5, which seeks to improve maternal reproductive health by reducing maternal mortality by 75%, seems impossible by 2015. This is because current trends indicate all mortality will be reduced to 340 instead of 100,000. Some factors leading to high-risk pregnancies include too many births without proper spacing, lack of blood for transfusion during emergencies, and inadequate monitoring of women above age 35. Research specialist at the Rich Hospital, Dr. Ernest Meyer, also attributes the slow progress of maternal health to lack of family planning and increase in number of quack abortions. According to him, when family planning fails, women who are not ready for pregnancy should be allowed to safely abort within the framework of Ghana's liberal abortion laws.
Every woman who don't want to become pregnant is using family planning. Still, none of the methods that we have now is 100% effective. So even if we're able to admit everybody, still there will be some pregnancies that will occur. And when these pregnancies occur, what do? Ghana has a liberal abortion law. And when these things occur within the framework of the law, we should let these women have safe abortion services, which is provided in the private and these things. We should not force our truth on others. Yeah, my morals and these things might be different from what you have, but we shouldn't want it to be like what I think is right when it comes to things like abortion and those things should be for you. Within the framework of the law, and within this, let us get people who become pregnant and they don't want it, let them have safe abortion services. It do exist.
Dr. Afisa Zakaria, Director for Policy Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation at the National Health Insurance Authority, said instead of reducing maternal mortality, the goal should be to totally eradicate it.
I would not like to be among the 185 deaths per 100,000 live births that we are targeting to attain by 2015. So I'm really in support of the zero maternal deaths. We want to reduce maternal deaths from 740 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births to 185. But today a question was asked, who wants to be part of the 185? Certainly no.
The 5th Annual Health Forum, organized by the Coalition of NGOs in Health, was organized under the theme, Attaining MDG 5, Let's Wake Up.
Well, we return with some business news. Please don't go away. Welcome to the business segment. Now, government says the challenges it is faced with regarding the China Development Bank loan is the reason the finance minister has been directed to look for alternative funding to push the Ghana Gas project. Information Minister Mahama Yariga says the president gave the directive to prevent the project from further delays. He said that at today's media briefing at the presidency that contractors currently working on the project are pre-financing but have run out of money. Meanwhile, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Mohamed Amin Adams, says the project, if delayed any further, will be detrimental to the economy. In a related development, Joy Business has learned that repair works on the West African gas pipeline are complete. The company shut down its pipelines for repairs following loss of pressure around the Lomé segment of the line in Togo because of damage caused by a vessel. The company had come under criticism for failing to meet its own deadline for the repairs. The resident representative of the African Development Bank, Marie-Laurie Akin-Olugbade, has challenged African governments to create the enabling environment for real growth to take place. She noted, though most African countries have reached middle-income status, it is yet to reflect in the living standards of their people. She was contributing to a BBC World Service debate here in Accra on who really benefits from the continent's economic growth.
The BBC World Service debate brought people from the private sector, journalists, think tanks, among others, to deliberate on how best the middle class in Africa can drive economic growth. The AFDB country representative said African leaders should invest more in the private sector and entrepreneurs so they can lead the continent's economic growth.
We are hearing that Africa is indeed growing, is doing well, is the new emerging frontier, but we also know that there are a lot of Africans who do not feel it. We also know that there is these entrepreneurs who started off, who had a lot of passion, but whose business may be bankrupt because either of electricity problems, water problems, or even lack of access to finance to be able to finance his working capital needs.
An entrepreneur, Janice Tego, noted human development is key to ensure Africa realizes real economic growth.
Human development, skills development is one of the key areas that will help drive this growth. And so if the skills are less in the African continent, then these issues will come up again.
Esiansa, assistant professor at Ashesi University, asked the youth to develop their skills and utilize opportunities.
It's a huge opportunity for young people to do a few things. One, make sure that they are opening themselves up, opening their minds up, they're learning new things. Another thing is building up on the soft skills. It's such a weakness in our system where you have the head knowledge, and that's great, that's wonderful. But if you can't be punctual at work, if you don't know how to deal with other people, if you don't know how to take the initiative, how to be assertive, etc., that's a problem.
Mary Morgan, the producer of the debate, explained the rationale for the program.
And we chose to come to Ghana deliberately because it's one of the countries which is, well, has the highest percentage of middle-class people, according to kind of lots of economists, according to the Africa Development Bank. And I guess what we wanted to do in recording this programme was to explore the reality behind these quite impressive statistics.
Well, reality talk, they say. Now, the BBC Africa debate will be broadcast live on BBC Radio at 7 p.m. tomorrow. That's it for the business news. All right, many thanks for your time here on the Primetime News. We're leaving you, but let's take a quick look at our top stories. A company engaged in rehabilitation of the Oblogo land site says that disused dam site may well produce biogas for electricity. Teshi Traditional Council dissociate themselves from purported installation of a chief for the town. And Cabinet is said to be considering proposals to restructure the National Disaster Management Organization. The Supreme Court has summoned 3 more persons to appear before it to answer for recent remarks about proceedings in the ongoing election petition. African governments have been challenged to ensure their citizens experience real growth in their standard of living. That's it. Many thanks for your time. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. Do have a good evening.